if you remember a little while ago, I said, I believe that blockchain is being overused in a lot of areas, and that overuse gets you a lot of clogging of the system on one side and a lot of scammy, weird behavior and just bad reputation on the other side. It doesn't even have to be scammy. It could just be like Axie Infinity, I think, is negative for blockchain, not positive for blockchain, right? Okay, so and then I'm ignoring the whole environmental side. We can table that discussion for a later date. So then what is blockchain good for? As I said, usually it has to do something with financial, right? So then let's go into, my problem with Bitcoin, right? Is, okay, great. So Bitcoin, I bought some Bitcoin a long time ago. Is it a store of value? No, right? Because I'm not really storing value. It's got wild fluctuations. It could go to, it's a speculative asset is really what it is. It's definitely not also a medium of exchange. Right? Anyone who's ever bought anything with Bitcoin will regret it, and probably regrets it already the next day when they read an article that Bitcoin is going to 10 million or whatever, Tim Draper says, and Jack Dorsey says it's going to go to, right? So when you guys pinged me, I saw something that was pretty cool in very specifically by trying to build a floor with, a standard back with your standard backed assets. Is now what you're doing is kind of getting the hybrid approach, which, if you read between the lines of the last 10 minutes of me talking about blockchain, you'd be like, how is he so pro blockchain, but he's got all these problems with blockchains? Because I feel like Web3 and blockchain is always going to have a lot of hybrid approaches, right? So like a video game that hangs an NFT off of it is perfectly fine, but the entire video game being blockchain based today doesn't make any sense, maybe in the future. So I really believe it's more like Web 2.5, right? Is the direction we're going. Lots more decentralization with a little sprinkling of centralization, right? So in essence, StandardDAO to me feels like it is a hybrid approach to this medium of exchange / store of value, right? And it's very exciting looking at the ability to then say, well, we're going to go build something that has a value, and then on the flip side, it has a utility, right? Which then could become some form of medium of exchange, or it could be, the possibilities are endless, right? Of where you can go with it, and that speaks to the inner geek in me and the inner economist in me. I also study a lot of economics too, right? So having a treasury and actually having some type of backing, but then there's a delta between, just to fast forward, right? You have a treasury that's worth X, and then you have a token and its total circulating supply is Y. There's going to be a delta between X and Y. And the delta is basically the speculative side of it, right? Which is perfectly fine when you have like this standard, treasury, right? So it actually makes it, it's super compelling from there. So I also like the approach to, one, it's a perfect use of blockchain. Like, I don't think you would do this without blockchain. You'd be crazy to try to do this project with previous technology. So it's one of those examples, in my view, of a great use of blockchain and, and cryptocurrencies in that respect. So it's something I think that will push the technology forward, because ultimately I am a bull on blockchain. I want to support projects that are going to, push blockchain, out into the future, right? Like a buddy of mine is working on NFTs that code uniqueness in products, right? So you can track for, so like a perfect example of using the technology. I love projects like that because it pushes the technology forward, right? But also I feel like Standard mitigates a lot, or starts to mitigate a lot of the risk.